Hey, you guys, welcome back. I'm so excited that we were able to bring this show back till death do us part, then order an appraisal. Hugh and Lisa here.
Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're having a fantastic day. Bringing you more wonderful information that will help make your life much better.
Right. Valuable information. And I'm so happy to introduce our guest, LaNia Fore with Nicholas Tax Solutions. So excited that she's made the trip to come out. She's actually here in office and we've got her set up and we are giving you access to asking the tax professional some questions. But really, what's exciting about having LaNia on the show is she is versed in taxes and in real estate. And today we are combining that conversation of the importance of when life happens, right, Hugh?
There is a real estate need.
There's a real estate need, especially when death is involved. And you guys hear me say it all the time. Every life event triggers a real estate need. Marriage, divorce, death, job loss, new job, babies, right? So here we are today. We just want to focus on just loving on ourselves as a community and as a family and expanding on that real estate conversation. And so, LaNia, if you just chime in and give us a little bit of background about yourself so people get a feel for you. We'll warm up and we'll just jump into it and we'll kind of take it from there. We'll just have fun today. Go ahead.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. Again, my name is LaNia. I'm CEO of Nicholas Tax Solutions located in the city of Lakewood. I'm an enrolled agent, a professional tax preparer. I have owned my own company for 8 years. I've been in the business for 12. And I've also been a licensed realtor since 2004. So I kind of merged the two once I ran into some of my own issues with taxes and real estate and not being educated in the tax realm of things. And so was able to partner with my mentor and really be able to grasp that side of taxes as well as real estate.
Great, great. And again, I'm so excited because that's so valuable. I always like to just remind people you have like your top 5, and those are your realtors, your tax professionals, your attorneys, your doctors, just people that are protecting your wealth because we work so hard at it. And this is one of those things that we want to continue to show that is important in protecting that wealth. So let's talk about when someone, it's one of those topics, it's a sensitive topic, right? When someone dies and the last thing someone is thinking about doing is ordering an appraisal. And I know, LaNia, you and I, we're having conversations. So one of the things that you and I had spoke about, you said it just, how it dawned on you, just the importance of even our own clients, that when they lose someone, they lose a spouse, the last thing they're thinking about is calling us and saying, can you help me order an appraisal? So just share with us just kind of how you were saying just the importance really in you being able to just remind a client or offer that as a added value to say this is something that you should be thinking about.
As a tax professional, especially in the area when someone passes and, getting affairs in order when it comes to taxes, a lot of times we come in after the fact. So there's been not much pre-planning. There are some estate planning and maybe, a trust setup, but that thing, you should consult a tax professional beforehand. So while you're in the process of that, you should be, you have your estate planner there as well as your tax professional. So they kind of go hand in hand. So a lot of the times, we get that information after the fact. Everything has been set up, that person has passed away. And then we come back behind to try to clean it up because they've been hit with so many taxes because there was a lack of planning there with your tax professional. So it's definitely an uncomfortable conversation, but very necessary.
Well, this is why we're bringing you aboard, because we say it's uncomfortable, but it's uncomfortable because you don't know.
True.
And that's one of the things that we always talk about on the show is the things that we don't know are the things that really will hurt us, but we don't know those.
Yes.
So it's not uncomfortable if you know this is something I need to know.
Right.
And how do I go about making the necessary adjustments to keep it in right order?
Right, right. One of the things that I wanted to spotlight in terms of the audience that is tuning in, that is listening or will listen to on the replay, spans from a younger generation to the older generation. Some are non-homeowners and some are existing homeowners. And one of the things that I've been pushing this is because, LaNia, you and I talked about, oh my gosh, imagine how much money we have lost in taxation.
Left on the table.
Grandma, grandpa dies, mom, dad dies, and we as the heirs, right, didn't know that these were things that we should have done to protect the equity in the property. So we keep more of that and not send that off or have to pay that in capital gains tax. So
I also found that people, some people do know about this, but they don't have it done because they're not sure what they want to do with the property. So it's very important to understand, regardless if you know, at that day, whatever what you want to do with the property, whether you would like to keep it or sell it, it is still very important to have that appraisal done. It can sit for 4 or 5 years, once you make a decision, but it is important, shortly after the time of death to have that appraisal done on the property.
Right. So walk us through it. So let's talk about a scenario.
Okay.
Walk us through it. Go ahead.
Okay. So basically, the tax benefit is called a step-up basis. And basically what we're doing is, so let me give you an example.
Please.
So for example, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, they own a home for 25 years. And they purchased the home for $100,000. Mr. Smith passes away and leaves, of course, the home to Mrs. Smith. At the time of death, whether Mrs. Smith decides to sell the property or not, say, for example, she does decide to sell. So she would be hit with capital gains tax from, whatever was paid to what the current value is. So say, for example, the value is at $400,000. So she would have to pay capital gains tax on the gain, which is $300,000. So that's approximately $45,000 in capital gains tax that she would be responsible for if she were not to have an appraisal done. So if she didn't know about that tax benefit, then that would be the money left on the table that she would pay for the gains that she made on that property.
Right.
If she were to use this tax benefit, which is a step-up basis, an appraisal would be done. It's called the date of death appraisal. So that appraisal will be done to determine the fair market value of the property at the time of death. And that would step the value up to the $400,000. So if she were to sell, that value will be stepped to $400,000, and she would not be responsible for any capital gains tax. So they're saving
you save a lot of money.
Yes, a lot of money.
Now, how long after death does this need to be done?
I would say, there's really no, some places it says 2 weeks, a month, but I would say shortly after everything is settled, maybe 30 days, I would highly recommend, before the market changes much,
Exactly.
So I would say I would recommend 30 days, you have that appraisal done. You're going to order a professional real estate appraiser, that will come out and assess the value of the property. And within that appraisal, he would know the date of death, and that would be a part of that appraisal to determine the fair market value on that.
So the date of death would have to be a part of the appraisal.
Yeah, the appraiser needs to know that date. So what he's going to do is he's going to assess the property. So he's going to go out and do a full appraisal inside and out, interior and exterior, as well as he's going to run comps as of the date of death. So he's going to, research to find out what homes are selling for on that particular day to freeze that amount in, that fair market value as of that day.
Perfect. Thank you.
That was that's awesome. Especially, again, my mind, when I learned of this, I just started thinking, and what we do, this is empowerment, education. You and I bounce these ideas and what we do all the time because we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
And this for me is one of those other added value conversations that we should be having very early on. And like I said, I know it's a sensitive topic, but definitely be, I love that you said pre-planning, right? We should be speaking with our tax preparers regularly, not once a year.
Right.
Has definitely introduced a great habit for me. And I'm so thankful as it relates to taxation is we have envelopes. It's got a label for every month and it's in my car and I just stick all my receipts
Perfect.
for that month. That way I'm not trying to find receipts at the end of the year. So I really appreciate that he has introduced pre-planning for me because we're entrepreneurs, we run businesses, and all of this is important. And this is part of this conversation of pre-planning and I'm glad that you addressed that. Most oftentimes people are like, well, immediately the reaction is we're going to keep it. It's my home. Great. But we don't know what the next life event is in the future.
Right. And then with building wealth, you may decide down the line to sell the property, and, if you have that appraisal, regardless, like I said, it could be 10 years down the line. If you have that appraisal in place, you're going to sit that in a very safe place. You're going to keep that because it's very important. So when you make that decision, that's something to pull out while you're planning whatever you want to do. You may want to sell that property and buy another property. So that is a very vital part of the puzzle, as well as sitting with your tax professional.
Right.
Yeah, because basically, so say, for example, down the line, if you were to sell the property, so say Mrs. Smith in a year, she decides to sell and it's $25,000 in equity there. She would pay capital gains on that $25,000. So that is, like I said, it's definitely important to have that piece of information.
Right.
In addition to that, it's a wonderful way to begin to build generational wealth because $45,000 is a nice amount based on this wonderful thing that we know is compounded quarterly.
Yeah.
If you put that money away 5 years, 10 years away, as opposed to giving it to the government, if you keep that in-house and invest that, wow, 5, 10 years, you may be looking at $60,000, $70,000 that you can then use to move forward to grow your wealth.
Right. And that amount of money is, that could be a down payment on another home. You
right.
There you go. And that would be a down payment towards another home, which is definitely building wealth.
Right. One of the things that you and I had talked about was the significant importance to this in doing it is for those homeowners or joint owners, those spouses who own multiple properties. Because yes, as community property, husband, wife, you get the tax exemption of up to $500,000, right? Single $250,000 on that. However, if you own property outside of that, that's not your primary residence, you don't get that exemption, which means you are now really subject to the capital gains. All the more reason that in the event that Mr. Smith has died, Mrs. Smith is looking at making sure the duplex, the tri, whatever building she owned, those appraisals need to be ordered on the property as well. So I'm ecstatic that we're doing this because I know you and I were like, she was excited. She said, no one is talking about this.
It's definitely a topic that has never been touched on. Like, no one, like I said, some people know that and some people are prepared. But a lot of the times those people don't understand that if a decision isn't made on the future of the property at the time of death, you still need to have this appraisal done. So I have seen where some people are like, oh, well, I wasn't sure what I was going to do with the property, but that means nothing. Regardless, if you plan to keep it, you should still have this appraisal done.
Right. I'm an advocate for that. I'm really definitely an advocate for that in making sure that the audience knows what we know. That's our job. Our responsibility is sharing what we know. And as soon as I learned this, and literally I learned this a month ago, and I said, we got to do a show.
That's why I asked, how did this topic come about?
Right.
Yeah.
I said, we've got to do a show because there's a difference between your circle, right? We've got different circles. I was in a conversation, part of this circle, that I said, wait a minute, I'm hearing a death happened.
Yes.
And then the accountant said, well, she's, you know, we made sure, we told her we reminded her to make sure she has the appraisal done. And I said, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, there's a death and appraisal. And I'm, you know, my ears went up.
Yeah.
And I'm asking, so why are we having a real estate appraisal conversation when someone's husband just died?
Mm-hmm.
And when I dug a little bit and we connected, I said, yep, we're supposed to do the show. We're going to do the show. So I'm excited that we brought it back. So let's just revisit just some of the terms. I'm huge. We're huge on terms and concepts. So we talked about step-up basis.
Yes.
And you mentioned, what was the term or the title for the type of appraisal, or what was it called?
It's called a date of death appraisal. So
Date
it's a
of death appraisal.
Yes, date of death appraisal. And the step-up basis is very simple. So you're going to step up in basis, meaning, you know, basis would be the equivalent of cost at this point. Yeah. So your basis is what was paid for the property. So Mr. and Mrs. Smith's example, their basis was $100,000 when they originally purchased, and that was stepped up to $400,000 with the date of death appraisal.
Right. And just, I mean, that, just imagining you went from 100,000, that your new purchase value, right? Your new basis.
New basis, yeah.
100.
Fair market value. So that
fair
is
market value
selling for in your area at that time. That's huge. Yeah, they didn't give you 100,000. They put you at the fair market value.
Which that's your new starting point. In other words, you guys. Mm-hmm. So you started here at the 100,000 when you bought it X amount of years ago, or mom, dad, parents bought it X amount of years ago, and the death. What does it? Say it again for me.
The date of death appraisal.
Say that 5 times, right? The date of death appraisal, date of death appraisal. The date of death appraisal was ordered, and now the appraiser, the real estate appraiser, comes back and says, new fair market value is now 400,000. So this now becomes your new starting point in terms of equity gain taxation, as that relates. And I leave that. I'm in my mind about it, but I leave it up to the professionals to run the numbers. Yeah. And so now, let's talk about what this looks like. So am I going to give it to you, or do I keep it when I've gotten my appraisal? What do I do with it?
Well, when someone passes away and they've been filing taxes, you definitely would do a closing tax return for that person. So when you come in, that definitely to bring in that appraisal, because sometimes there are some taxes that have to be paid, federal taxes. So you definitely want to bring all of that in. I like to keep a lot of records for my clients. Sometimes, you know, my clients misplace things or different things. So I keep a timeline of events and conversations. So I would love for them to bring that in, and then that can be a part of their file, whether or not you know, they're going to do something with the property at that time. Then you can call. So, you know, let's say in 12 months, you're thinking about selling the home. You call, we have a conversation about it. I already have it on file because the work has already been done. It just would be to run the numbers to see where we're at that point. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Because I know folks who say, okay, I did it. Now what?
Yeah, so you did it and you keep it in a safe place. If you have a tax professional, you need to find one. You know, come seek LaNia Nicholas Tax Solutions. But
very good. No, perfect. Exactly. Yeah. And that's exactly what I wanted to point out. And you segued into that. I want you to share your information, how people can learn more about you and get connected with you. I don't have any thoughts or questions. This is just for us to really love on our community, share some information. If people want to learn more, they can definitely reach out and connect, and we'll continue the dialogue. But this is just to really just say, hold that real quick and just, you know, enjoy that little appetizer we left for you.
Yes.
So here's your time to do a blatant advertisement for yourself and the company. Come on, let us have it. I know you've been waiting. Give it to us.
So again, my name is LaNia Fore Nicholas, CEO of Nicholas Tax Solutions out of Lakewood, California. You can find me on Facebook. My page is Nicholas Tax Solutions LLC. And I'm definitely open to more clients. I'm passionate about tax planning. I think we should be past the days of where you sit down with your tax professional at tax time and cringe. We should have some planning, pre-planning, and stop leaving our money on the table.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming out. We'll definitely bring you out again as we continue to expand, because this is a very generational wealth. That's tax. That's tax planning, right? I mean,
long term.
This is long term.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very important that we have our top 5 in our team. And this is whether it's you, we want it to be you, part of their team, but they've got to have somebody part of that team that's helping them protect and maintain the wealth as it's building or accumulating long term. Thanks again, you guys. We are so excited to bring you another show of great information, and just stay tuned, because this is what we're going to roll out, and we'll keep doing it. We're clearly passionate about what we do, and this is Ready, Set, Real Estate.